Man, it's really strange to think about how Futurama has been around my entire life. The first episode aired in 1999, and it's still going, making it one of the longest-running cartoon series of all time. I guess 99 was just a banger year for American television, because in just that year, we got Futurama, SpongeBob, The Sopranos, Family Guy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and many, many more shows that would go on to either be successful for years to come, or become core memory material for viewers like myself. Regardless of how you feel about these shows personally, there is no denying that they were a major driving force behind shaping modern pop culture, especially Futurama. I mean, my goddamn grandmother uses the famous "shut up and take my money" line sometimes. So, of course, like the greedy culture vulture that I am, I just had to play the 2003 Futurama video game, released for the PlayStation 2. Some of you may remember that once upon a time, not every game made for an IP was a mobile game with ads and microtransactions up the yin-yang. Pre-smartphone, most of these licensed games were made for home consoles, like the good old PS2. Don't think for a second that I'm going to glorify it, because most of these licensed games were dumpster fires. But there were a few standouts that were legitimately good games, like Battle for Bikini Bottom, which even got a remake in 2020. So is Futurama the video game one of the good ones, or is it going to make me hate myself for playing it, and by proxy everyone around me for letting me go through with making this video? I think to answer that question, we first have to ask, what does a good Futurama game even look like? I think a good Futurama game would be one that's fun to play and feels like an episode of the show. For those of you who haven't seen the show, the premise is that the main character, Philip Fry, is a pizza delivery boy who trips and falls into a cryogenic chamber during New Year's Eve festivities in New York while he's on the job, and wakes up in the year 3000, in New York. He meets Professor Farnsworth, who's a distant relative of his, Leela, a one-eyed mutant with a butt-kicking attitude, Bender, an alcoholic, kleptomaniac, and generally rambunctious robot, who is probably the most famous cartoon robot character ever, appearing in Hot Topic, on t-shirts, pins, mugs, Funko Pops. Damn, I don't even think I can show this one. Even if you don't know anything about Futurama, you'll recognize Bender. This diverse cast of weirdos, all with their own distinct personality flaws, are the soul of the show. It's great. I'm on the last season right now, and even though it's been cancelled and rebooted like 3 or 4 separate times, I don't think there's been a bad season. I mean, dry seasons for sure, but I think at worst the show has been mildly amusing. At best, it'll make you wheeze laugh in one episode, and then turn around and make you misty-eyed in the next. Lots of people cite the famous dog episode in that regard, but what about the Fry's mom's dream episode? Like, goddamn man, I got a lump in my throat just talking about it. So will the game hit the same notes as the show does, all while providing an entertaining game? Let's see. When we boot it up, we get some nice narration from our friend John DiMaggio in case you forgot which game you were playing.
It's Futurama the game!
Thanks, John. Starting a new game greets us with a nice pre-rendered cutscene of the main cast, and thank God they got all the voice actors on board. It just wouldn't be right without them. This part is great. It sets up the premise, which is that Farnsworth is broke, so he had to sell his company, Planet Express, to Mom, who is the ruthless matriarch of the evil robot manufacturing company. In acquiring Planet Express, she now owns over half the Earth's resources, making her the ruler, I guess? This is where I'd normally bitch about the plot not making sense, but it's a cartoon. It's supposed to not make sense. There are plenty of funny jokes, and it feels goofy and whimsical, just like an episode of the show. So I guess we're off to a good start.
Sister. To the ship!
So here's our tutorial. The Professor and Leela have to fix the ship, and since we start playing as Fry, who's a talentless yokel, we have to go around finding the tools that they need to fix it. The controls are nice and snappy, but the camera's inverted, so The environment is super interactable, though. You can look in each character's locker, which is a fun gag if you watch the show. Yeah, you're gonna find a lot of that in this game. A good chunk of it is funny on its own, but most of it hits its mark better if you've seen the show before. Can't really fault them there, though. It makes the game really feel like it's for the fans. Regardless of if you're a fan of it or not, though, the child skeleton in Zoidberg's locker is a bit concerning. You can find Bender looking at pornography on the toilet. There's a lot of character going into the surroundings here, which I like a lot. When Fry goes to grab this hammer, he gets crushed under a comedically large pile of junk in the corner and just dies. He's dead for real. Luckily though, the professor has a cloning machine, which he uses to clone Fry every time he dies. So every time we get a game over, we start as a new clone. You hear that, Nier? Futurama the video game did it first in 2003. Well, they aren't clones in Nier, they're androids, but you get the idea. That's pretty creative, honestly. Most games don't bother trying to come up with an in-universe reason for respawning, but they really went for it here. After being introduced to the death mechanics, we roam around the Planet Express in search of Farnsworth's tools. There's a lot of stuff you can interact with, just for flavor. Seriously, there's money in every nook and cranny. And also, Hermes is being mind-controlled by a slug thingy? You'll have to forgive me if I don't get all the references and callbacks. This game came out after Season 4, which I have seen, but that was like 22 years worth of episodes back, so it's all blurry. Speaking of blurry, I know exactly 2 people are going to understand this, but jumping on this ventilation shaft and collecting these things is reminding me of that 3D Flash game that LEGO had on their website like 15 years ago, which had you driving around a LEGO car in a dark, closed-down LEGO store. Does anyone remember that, or am I crazy? In order to fix the ship, we need a new part, but since Mom has the robot version of the SS patrolling the streets and enforcing robo-curfew, the first real level is your industry standard sewer level. Well, at least we're getting it out of the way early. It's very green, and looks sufficiently stinky. I have to say, I'm digging the character portrait bit. It's charming.
Ew! It smells like... what's it called?
It's here that we're introduced to Fry's primary gameplay mechanic, shooting. It's simple. You lock on and you shoot. You have a charge shot and a regular shot. If you're a real cowboy with it, you can charge a shot while you're shooting regular ones. Fry's head does get in the way sometimes, though. Also, as far as I can tell, after the tutorial, there is zero reason to use the hammer. I actually swap to it naturally as my survival horror ammo conservation instincts kick in when I have to break a box or two, but you don't even have to. They give you so much ammo. By the time I'm finished with the level, I still have enough for a mainland invasion of Cuba. I like how even down here in the sewers they have slurm vending machines. I guess the sewer people like it too. It's kind of fucked up that we're just gunning them down like this, since I think later on in the show, the sewer people are looked at as regular people who just happen to be horrifically ugly. They just kind of creep towards you with their eyes crossed here, like my cat when I'm eating cheese. You can blast them away easily. Lots of shooting. It's fine, but it's nothing special. It's weird that I have no other frame of reference for this, since it seems like such a basic style of shooting, but it reminds me of that The Thing game. Also for PlayStation 2. Locking on and being able to strafe makes it a breeze, which is more than I can say for the platforming. I don't think the platforming in this game is bad, I think I'm just bad at it. I always have been. Something about jumping on platforms just brings out the impatient side of my gamer brain, and I end up trying to go way too fast and not learning from my mistakes. I make it through though eventually, to the next level, the subway tunnels. We've got some new enemies to shoot that shoot back this time, and a new shotgun. While I'm trying to get a good look at it, I slowly realize how creepy and dense the ambience on this level is.
Earth the player! You're not playing!
Yeah, I'm going. I like how with these new enemies, when you kill them, the very last thing they choose to do with their fleeting moments of consciousness is to try to take you down. Damn, that is personal. They're not thinking about their families, what awaits them on the other side. They just want to drag you down with them. So metal. Who are these guys anyway? My first guess is that they're scavengers. That's why they have guns, and you can't tell me that Spiked Baseball Bat doesn't just scream scav. And yet, they're acting like I'm invading their ancestral homeland. They give me a run for my money, too. At this choke point, they actually kill me, and when I try it again, I end up having to backtrack for health. Alright everybody, we might have an honest-to-God game on our hands. I absolutely love these loading screens, man. Bachelor Chow, now with flavor. Lightspeed Briefs for the discriminating crotch. And Glagnar's human rhymes. Ew. I just wish they were available in higher resolution. I don't even know why. I'm pretty sure the PlayStation 2 disc had more than enough storage space. So we're in Old New York now. The concept of Old New York in the show is that New York was so shitty that we just built a brand new city over top of it and called it New New York. Yeah, that's fair. I've always enjoyed the idea of a world beneath the world. ever since I read Gregor the Overlander when I was a kid. There's no giant bats you can ride or rat people down here though, but it evokes the same sense of wonder and curiosity. What's down here? Rocket launchers, that's what. Oh, god damn it. I literally did the thing that Fry did with the hammer in the tutorial level. That's insulting. Growing up is thinking that you're Bender, then relating more to Leela, and in your late 20s finally realizing that you're actually closer to Fry than anyone else. The level ends right when it starts getting repetitive, so the level designers definitely have a good grip on pacing. Speaking of level designers, the studio that made this game, Unique Development Studios, doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. According to Moby Games, they made several titles from 1994 to 2003, ending with Futurama the video game. So this game was that studio's last ride. Actually, they seem to have done extensive work on the game The Core Gang after they picked up publishing rights, only to run into financial troubles resulting in the closing of the studio altogether. Returning to the game, we're in the Red Light District now. It's full to the brim with environmental gags. Alien peep shows. Narrow way. Robo-strippers. Suicide booths, which do actually work, by the way.
Son of a...
And it's got us facing off against Mom's robots, which means that the combat is finally mingling with the plot. We also get a machine gun in this level, but it's my least favorite type of game machine gun, where you press the trigger and it shoots a predetermined number of bullets in a spray. It's not really a big issue since the game is still giving out way too much ammo, but it makes it feel like the gun has a mind of its own. You guys, I'm not the main character from High on Life. I don't want my gun to think. I want it to kill people when I press the kill people button and not give me lip about it. Pedantic gun gripes aside, this is the best level so far. The city has so much personality. The gameplay might be basic, but this just goes to show you that with enough character, even the most basic game can be fun. For the finale of the chapter, Fry takes control of a chicken walker, which is an original design made for the game, as far as I can tell. It's kind of a weak on-rail shooter level, but it is something new. Fortunately, it doesn't take long to get to the pawn shop and grab the engine for the ship, which allows the Planet Express crew to escape the veiny, crusty clutches of Mom, who is trying to make the Earth fly for one reason or another. Sorry, Solomon Islands, you're an engine country now. The engines aren't powerful enough to move the planet though, so she tries to capture the Planet Express ship to get to Farnsworth, who's the only person that knows how to upgrade them. I'd like to add that at no point does the story explain why Mom is trying to enslave all the people on Earth, or why she isn't content with everyone besides the Planet Express crew being her subjects. That's fine. Rich people do a lot of things I don't understand. An evil entrepreneur going crazy and enslaving everyone just to feel more powerful seems normal to me. So we've had enough of Fry's shooty stuff, now it's time for Bender.
Good news! I've programmed the reanimator to work for Bender as well.
So now I can die and come back to life like Fry? Does that mean?
Yes, you're a playable character.
This is the happiest day of my life.
He falls out of the ship, and in true Bender fashion, he's ready to desert, but the professor bribes him with robo-pornography, and he's back in. He starts with his dukes up, which gels, because Bender doesn't have guns, but he does have melee attacks. He's got a butt slam, a charge move, a spin move, and a super spin move that you can charge up by collecting energy. And in a nice touch, in first-person mode as Bender, it looks like this. Hey, remember a couple of minutes ago when I was talking about how I'm not good at platforming? Well, that's just tough cookies for me because Bender's levels are all about platforming. You do some uninspired melee fighting, break a few pillars or whatever, but like 80% of what he's doing is running and jumping. And what's more is that some of these jumps are so close. Oh, look at that. I almost didn't make it. The environment here isn't as inspired or as colorful as the city was, and not by a little. It's a definite downgrade for me. The desert bores me, man. It's ugly and repetitive. Once you've seen one desert, you've seen them all. Oh, what's this? Why would you make me run towards the camera? I can't see where the hell I'm going, and I have like half a second to react. Damn it. Shit. Oh, come on, he grabbed the hanging rail? What was I supposed to do there, swing on it and do a triple hanging gainer to safety? Ah, okay. I learned something that time. If you grab the edge at the end of a jump 3 times, you die. You get 2 for free. After that, Bender won't have enough time to do another climb before the boulder gets him. Alright, come on, lock in. Come on, come on. Okay, this is the furthest I've been so far. Sorry, Nibbler. Oh, come on! Okay, this is the one. I can feel it. Yes. Yes! Finally! God, I hate running towards the camera. You have to be on your toes the whole time. Why wasn't it just a side-scrolling part? And why was it so long? 7 minutes of uninterrupted focus is harder than it seems, guys. At least for me. Good riddance. Next level, please. The desert hates me. The next level is a little bit better. The environment is still dry, but there's some charm poking through the cloak of uninspiration. Like this mammoth tusk sticking out of the rock.
Oh!
Come on, Bender. You were right there. This part's okay, I guess. It's simple, but at least I'm not running towards the camera. The enemies suck too. There's no way to knock them back or stun them or anything, so every time you fight them, it's like taking forced damage. I'm probably missing something. I just end up burning a spin move every time I have to fight one. I may be bad at platforming, but by Jove, I can press an instant kill move button with the best of them. Boy, this level isn't very futuristic for a game about Futurama, a game that takes place 1,000 years in the future. It's just a bunch of industrial machinery. There's lasers, I guess, but Where are all the aliens and holograms and shit? Where's the future? This'll do, I guess. Immediately enjoying these visuals more than the desert. I always used to say that the only good desert is an alien desert, but I guess even alien deserts can fall flat. It doesn't take long before the game throws us back out into the sand again, though. Ugh. Actually, this isn't so bad. We're in a junkyard now, as opposed to the rest of the level, which was just a desert canyon. Now we've got broken down ships, junk piles, a splash of color with the purple sky, and the decrepit machinery. Plus, I've learned that you can simply strafe around the robots and have no trouble whatsoever killing them with the spin move. It's crazy the things that you discover when you aren't frazzled to hell and back in the wake of a bullshit boulder chase section. Finally, we catch up with another one of Mom's sons and have a boss fight with his turquoise tank. Thankfully, it's a gimmick fight, and it doesn't rely on Bender's combat abilities. You have to deplete the shield with this gun on the left, and then run over to the gun on the right and damage the tank itself before the shield comes back up. The only problem is that the hitbox for mounting the guns is as fickle as a Reddit admin, and doesn't like to let me grab the gun even when I'm standing directly in front of it. It's a minor inconvenience though, and if I went on a big rant for every one of those I encounter, this video would be an hour and a half long. Eventually we whittle him down and blow him up, allowing us to cross the quicksand and end the level. Oh, I am not gonna miss that planet. I mean, sure, it had upside-down cacti and alien scrap heaps, but you can only milk a desert level for so long. We get another cutscene, and I have to say, they're all great. They're funny and ridiculous, and perfectly in line with the tone of the show. I actually feel rewarded when I finish a level and get a cutscene, which is rare for me. Usually I see them as a dull necessity of narrative games. It's too bad they're artifacted to shit and back and are stuck inside the limitations of movie files designed for the PS2. So, to summarize this one, Mom boards the Planet Express ship and takes the professor's head, because he knows how to make dark matter, which she needs to turn the Earth into a mobile battle station, for whatever reason. She chucks us into the sun, and we land on the sun? Okay. There's life on the sun, who would have thought? They want to trade favors for favors. Classic side quest behavior. The sun god, according to them, has been resurrecting dead bodies in order to punish the people here, so their leader wants us to deal with that to earn some fuel. Oh, and we're playing as Leela now. Leela is my favorite character in the show. I mean, sure, she's dumb sometimes like the rest of them, but she doesn't take shit. She's funny and relatable, and most of all, she solves her problems with punches and kicks. And lucky for us, that translates directly into the game. Fuck yes. Our first level playing as Leela sees us beating up skeletons while we explore the city of the Sun People, and I'm very happy to say that the personality that we lost in the Bender stages is back in full force. We've got the forecast, tanning spots, raincoats are on sale. This shop is closed, unfortunately. Most importantly though, wait an hour after eating before swimming in lava. This initial level serves as a pretty good tutorial for controlling Leela. She can punch, kick, backflip, somersault, and jump kick. It's got all the pieces for a basic beat-em-up game. I love these skeleton enemies too.
am bleeding. Psych.
The biggest hang-up so far is these suicide bomber guys. They run at you and explode if you touch them. The only problem is they run faster than Leela can, so there's no outrunning them. The only way to deal with them without taking damage is to kite them around some turns or something until they explode on their own. You can kinda make them run into other enemies, but you have to get lucky for that. So that's whatever. But the rest of the stage is great so far. We're beating things up, there's skeletons, and the environment is oozing personality at every turn. Even these brick walls have faces on them. Okay, fine. I found something to complain about. In the show, Nibbler is Leela's pet. She literally changes his diaper and cleans his litter box and shit. Here in the game, the only line she has for finding a bonus Nibbler throughout the levels is, "Ooh, pretty, you go, mutant girl, and I'll just help myself to one of these," which are super generic lines. Whereas Bender, who doesn't even like Nibbler in the show, has specific lines that mention him by name and even remark on the relationship that they have in the episodes. It feels like they forgot to have Leela's actress do these lines. A hefty chunk of Leela's part takes place in the temple. There is definitely a Zelda vibe to this too. We're solving puzzles that have a nice chime when you do them and fighting skeleton warriors, but it would be foolish to say that this is on the level of a Zelda temple. Temples from the Legend of Zelda games, at least in some of them, would take hours to get through sometimes. They usually have multiple floors, keys, plenty of backtracking and secrets to find. Here, there's none of that, which I'm actually thankful for. It's a fairly linear temple with a few basic puzzles and plenty of stuff to punch. I think a fair comparison would be to say that if temples from The Legend of Zelda are full-fledged Lego sets, then these Leela levels are Duplo. The puzzles just aren't as interesting. They're all some form of Simon Says, which I think was the right move actually, since these levels are so action-heavy. Nothing takes me out of an action game more than having the action grind to a screeching halt just so that I can solve some riddle to open a door. I really like this section where you have to bait this fireball-spitting statue into shooting all these targets here. It's fun and intuitive, and it allows me to make use of the dodge. What I don't like is the next room. Sure, it starts off good, but... Okay, look. In a rather tasteful test of player intuition, you get attacked by these lava monsters, but punching them hurts you because they're lava monsters. So, since Leela's got these big boots, you gotta kick them. Kick them over and over and over again until they die. The reason I say that it starts off good is because once you figure that out, they proceed to make you do that exact thing 3 more times. I mean, once is good, twice is okay, but 4 times? Come on, these guys are way too tanky for that. I died a few times too, so by the end of it I was playing super safe by attacking once or twice, and then dodging out before they could swipe me, like a Dark Souls boss. The skeletons are way more fun to fight. It's just mashing light attack mostly, but it's so satisfying to watch them crumble apart like that. And as if they weren't good enough already, check this shit out. I was running away from this skeleton because I thought he was a suicide bomber, but he takes a bit of damage from his overeager buddy behind him. Well, he must have woke up on the wrong side of the coffin because he turns around and starts fighting his friend tooth and nail. Wow. I love watching my enemies fight one another, but you know what they say. The enemy of my enemy is still my enemy if he's shooting magic missiles at me after the dust settles. Lots of platforming here, but the camera works well, so I can manage. As of writing this, I played, or rather tried to play, Knights of the Temple 2, an action RPG from 2005, and in that game, the camera fights you every step of the way. I literally could not get through the first few hours of that game, and I'm usually very patient with old games, so that should say a lot. So naturally, I'm extremely grateful for this camera design. Also, this game came out 2 years prior for the same console, so what's their excuse? Once we get deeper into the temple, the platforming gets more and more intense, much to my skill issue. I watched Leela fall into lava dozens of times at this section here. Her purple ponytail is going to be permanently pictured in my mind as sinking into bubbling lava, and yet somehow I don't feel frustrated like I did at the Bender parts. I think it's because I know that there's something else to look forward to besides platforming. There's a bunch of bony ass that needs to be kicked. The platforming is just a stepping stone on that journey, where for Bender it just leads to this.
What a move!
So yeah, I can grit my teeth and get by here. Okay, that looked pretty bad. After much much platforming, we arrive at the chamber of the Sun God. He likes to bowl fireballs at you from his center platform like a punk. Who does he think he is? I am! You just have to jump sideways to dodge him and grab these crystals when he does his fire ring attack. It's not complicated, but it's a good challenge. The projectiles get faster with every crystal you collect until towards the end, where he is just lugging them at you at 100 miles per hour. We thwart his evil plan and take his powers away, I guess? Turns out, he isn't an evil sun god at all. He's just some asshole. So with that dealt with, the Planet Express crew collects the fuel they were promised, and we make our way to the Swamp Planet, where we meet up with Dr. Zoidberg and help some little blue guy named Adoy, who looks kind of like a character from Wind Waker. Since Mom has captured the professor's head and is now actively blowing up planets for no reason other than she wants to, the only way to stop her is to go back in time with Adoy's time machine here. In a surprise twist, we get to play as Dr. Zoidberg because the main cast is just kind of tuckered out. Must be from all that falling into lava and whatnot. This sequence is a lot like a Crash Bandicoot level. The objective is to get to the end in 2 minutes in order to turn on the generator for the time machine. It's good fun, actually. It controls pretty well. And unlike the boulder sequence from earlier, the camera is facing forward, so I can actually see what I'm doing. It's still hard though, but I think that's my fault. Since it involves carefully timed jumps, I die a bunch. Fortunately, when you reach a checkpoint, your 2-minute timer resets. Oh shit, 10 seconds! Fuck, jump better, Zoidberg. Oh! Oh, did you see that? I finished with 0 seconds on the clock. I haven't cut it that close since tax season. Yeah, not much else to say about that level. It's short, but fun. I was a little disappointed that there wasn't a sunken X-wing hidden off to the side in the swamp or anything, but I'll get over it. So now that the time machine is powered, the main cast leaves without Zoidberg, unfortunately. Man, I like Zoidberg. His whole bit is that he constantly gets shit on and insulted, but he remains positive no matter what happens to him. And I think that's the type of people we need more of in this world. After going back in time, though, our plan to stop Farnsworth from selling Planet Express to Mom doesn't go too well, and we end up trapped deep in the underbelly of the Robot Corporation in another Bender level. Well, at least it's not a desert. I got stuck in this room for a good 5 to 10 minutes because I was treating it like a puzzle after seeing that I couldn't damage this enemy here. I figured, okay, I must have to lead it somewhere to kill it or unlock something. Nah, you just have to sit on him. I totally forgot that Bender had a butt slam move. That's on me. To be fair, though, I played this game in chunks, and there was a gap of about a month between now and the last time I played as Bender. Wow, Daleks looks so different now. Yeah, Bender's gameplay still kinda sucks. It's the worst out of all 4 of the characters. Even when the enemies have an interesting gimmick like these ones, it's just kinda pressing buttons. And it's not satisfying, which is a shame because I think for a lot of Futurama fans, Bender is their favorite character. Not mine, though. I find him obnoxious and dumb, but I think it's fair to say that I'm in the minority there. Throughout the show, Bender makes the same mistake over and over again. He gets Fry killed, then gets really depressed that his best friend is dead because of him, and then at the end, Fry is alive somehow, and everything is back to normal. Bender does this a shit ton through the entire show. All of the characters are stupid, but Bender is the only one who doesn't learn anything from getting his best bro killed over and over again. He's just negligent and loud. And if it wasn't for John DiMaggio's iconic voice performance, he wouldn't be nearly as popular. Luckily, I don't have to stomach him for that long, because the bit of this level is that you go through a few different short sections of it with all the main characters. Big final stretch vibes here. The next one is Leela, and even though I was expecting a breath of fresh air, it isn't that. Leela punches and kicks. We've established this. That's her bit. Leela hits things, Fry shoots things, and Bender sucks. So, the natural progression of this section would be Leela just absolutely starching some robots, right? Nope. All you do in this level is run around collecting keycards and getting shot at by insta-kill turrets. There's some fun platforming, but not nearly enough. Come on, where are my punches and kicks at, guys? This is a Bender level with Leela's character in it instead. God damn it. Okay, on to Fry's section, I guess. What, are you gonna give Fry a gun and not let him shoot something now, game? Okay, there's a gun here, but it's another one of these stupid puzzles. The only one that made sense was the first one. It's pattern recognition, but what the hell is the pattern supposed to be for this one? 11224488. Okay, good. The numbers are doubling every time. But where in the sweet fuck does the 1 and the 6 at the end come from? Am I being gaslit? If anyone smarter than me wants to take a crack at figuring out whether or not this makes sense, let me know in the comments. I gave up. I used a walkthrough. Whatever, sue me. I have a gun now. We get to gun down some bots that die in one hit, which vents my frustration a little bit, but it doesn't take long before there's another one of these awful puzzles. No. Mozilla Firefox is the solution to this one. The only complete walkthrough I found doesn't even explain why this is the solution, so as far as I know, it really doesn't make any fucking sense. And hey, in case you really missed the keycard runaround from last level, we've got some more of that here. You get a keycard to open a door, to get a keycard to open a door, and so on. Hey, you guys smell that? Yeah, it smells like padding to me. Whatever, I'm over it. After blasting away some more robots and opening some more keycard doors, we're at the final boss. It's this big bastard that was shooting at us at the start of each section. Not much of a gimmick here, unfortunately. You wait for him to release flying robots from his belly, and you shoot him there with manual aim mode. Rinse and repeat. It's not that fun, but it's still the most entertaining part of this final stretch. And we're done. We're rewarded with a cutscene that shows the end of the game, or rather, the beginning. One of Mom's sons pulls an idiot savant and breaks the reanimator by dropping it on the dead giant robot that we just slew, making it crush Fry, Bender, and Leela, killing them for good. Professor Farnsworth's head is somehow attached to his body again, and he breaks Mom's hip. After that, he defiantly tears up the contract, only to be wooed by a sombrero, which is fair, it's a nice sombrero. I guess he fixes the reanimator off screen, and it cuts back to the first scene. Oh wait, no, he would have the original reanimator because we took the one in our timeline onto the ship and went back in time. Yeah. Anyway, it cuts back to the first scene where the crew of the original timeline are all sitting at a table. It's a time loop. Yeah, that's pretty weak, honestly. Damn, man, such a mixed bag. In the same game, we have decent levels, good levels, bad levels, and disappointing levels. Wow, talk about peas mixed in with your M&Ms. Let's be honest, if this wasn't a Futurama game, it would be pretty bland. The character of the show really carries the whole thing on its back. Without all the humor, environmental gags, and quality voice acting, this would just be an average action platformer with a few bad levels. Even so, what we're left with is 5 hours of a so-so game. I would even go as far as saying that most of the game's charm is in the presentation of the characters. I never thought I'd be praising a game's cutscenes as the peak of the experience, since I am much more of a gameplay guy, but it really is like an episode of the show spread out over the levels of the game. So with the game finished, we arrive at the question on all our minds. Should you play Futurama the video game? It's a tough call. Let me put it this way. If you've bought any Futurama merch for yourself with your own money before, then you should probably play this game. If you've gone out of your way to bring Futurama into your life physically, that tells me that you're more dedicated than the average Futurama enjoyer, so you'd likely have the patience to wade through the game to get to the good parts. If you're more of a casual Futurama viewer like me, though, just watch the cutscenes on YouTube. That's where all the meat is anyway. I couldn't show them to you in their entirety because some of them are decently long, so there's still some good stuff you haven't seen yet. Alright, that's all I have to say about Futurama the video game. Have a great morning, day, or night, and don't forget to check in on your friends. Okay, see ya. Hey, you made it to the news segment. I like to put these at the very ends of my videos so that only the people that really care have to listen to me go on about news and stuff. God, my voice is tired. I just finished recording like hours of stuff for school and man, I am feeling it now, let me tell you. It's no secret among my subscribers that I kinda blew up because of my Gmod map exploration videos. If you discovered me from those, then I have to thank you for not only checking out my other stuff, but for also sticking around until after the credits. You're a real one for that. The Gmod videos are great fun. As a matter of fact, I plan on making them an ongoing series. But there's so much more we can explore out there. So I'm gonna try very hard not to get boxed into that as we grow. There's more on the way, but I'm gonna continue trying to have a good variety of video game related things on this channel. On to the next item. I've had a few comments asking about a community Discord channel. I think that could be a good thing to have at some point just to help people connect with others with similar interests, but I also don't want to go through the trouble of recruiting moderators and setting up an entire Discord server if only a dozen or so people will actually show up. So I think I'm going to hold off on that for now. It could happen, but it won't be in the immediate future, I don't think. Okay, I think that's all I've got for news. I just want to give a big thank you to anyone who watches, comments, shares, or engages in any way with my channel. I like seeing so many people come together with a shared love of video games and digital art. It's neat. Alright, stay tuned. More videos are on the way. Bye for now.